Hello, and welcome to Sunday Conversations. I hope everybody's doing all right out there tonight. We've got a great show tonight. We've got a great guest. But first, of course, as always, with me is Jackie. How you doing, Jackie?
Doing good. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Of course, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Whether you've got a two-legged baby or a four-legged fur babies,
Yeah.
happy Mother's Day. Our guest tonight is NONNABOSS, who people will know from a moderator in some of the chats, some of the channels. I've seen you there, but you've got a new channel, NONNABOSS. I've got it here somewhere. I know it's the
Yeah.
Continuum.
Continuum. Yeah. Continuum. The
Really?
NONNABOSS Continuum. Yeah.
NONNABOSS Continuum. And you did a great show last night, and it was last
Thank
night
you. Yeah.
with
Last night.
Lee from the Ravens, because I'm in England. It's 2 days ago for you and 1 day for me. And you had Lee on from Ravens Outpost. I thought it was I watched some of that. I thought it was a great
Thank you.
interview and a good start. And I just love your outlook and the way you studied this subject. And you're also mom to Matt from what was Scotch in South Florida, and is now helped
Supernatural Spectrum.
Supernatural Spectrum, the two S's. And you actually go out with him and do a bit of Bigfoot hunting, or at least looking for evidence. And, it's all fun. But tell us how, you got into this. Where did it start for you with Bigfoot?
I know this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like it's been my whole life. I told last night on my show last night, and please, if anybody knows the name of this movie, because I have Googled and I cannot find it. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I saw a movie about Sasquatch, and there was this crazy scene where these Sasquatch are kind of like attacking. I know it sounds like the Ape Canyon incident, but they were attacking this cabin with these guys in it, and the Sasquatch put this guy was sleeping on a cot underneath the window, and Sasquatch put his arm through the window and snapped his neck. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I don't know. To me, I was like, this is a really cool, this is a cool movie, but it terrified me too. Like, I still to this day cannot sleep under a window. I cannot do it. But it made me think about it. And I grew up in Indiana, and we were always in the woods. We were always, camping, mushroom hunting. I used to love to do that, like just going and wandering out in the woods. That was what we did. I grew up in a really tiny town. We still to this day only have like one stoplight there. So, it's always been something that has always been in my head, playing in my head. And then when all of this, I was, looking for everything I could get my hands on Bigfoot related. I think over my lifetime, I don't even know how many shows I watched. My kids used to joke and laugh at me and say, "Oh, you're watching another one, another Bigfoot show? You're watching another Bigfoot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Yeah." So I was no stranger to very weird things, paranormal, all kinds of things growing up and throughout my life. So this wasn't too far of a stretch for me, actually, just kind of getting out there and getting boots on the ground and actually doing it. I feel like it's what I was supposed to do.
It's amazing, isn't it? How you've just got a natural draw to this thing.
Yes.
And then, like, we able to talk to other people that were having experiences. Did you get to do that before? I mean, YouTube's really the gateway, isn't it, to hearing about those Sasquatch Chronicles? But did you get to meet anybody and talk to anyone?
Well, my parents moved down here in 1980 in South Florida. So I've been here ever since. And growing up during that time frame down here in South Florida was, you always heard about the skunk ape. it was kind of like everybody knew it was out there, but you never really knew anybody who saw it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, it was always this like out in the peripheral kind of thing, but yet everybody knew about it. But I never actually heard anybody say, I actually saw one. And then it had to be, it was in the mid to late 80s. My first husband and I, he used to love to look for snakes. And the best place to go and look for snakes is in the Everglades. And you drive on the levees late at night. The snakes come up onto the levees for the warmth, right? So you drive out and you go really slow and you just with your headlights on and you're just looking for them like laying on the roads. That was something we did together. It was always fun. And one night we were on the levee and we're driving and I just he's looking kind of down in front of the Jeep and I'm looking ahead and I just saw this thing kind of come up the top of the levee. And when it came up the levee, it seemed to be kind of on all fours when I first seen it. But then as it came up, it just kind of like it like turned its head and looked right at us and I saw red eyes. And it wasn't like eye shine. It wasn't I've seen eye shine. I've seen owls and raccoons and being in the woods, I've seen a lot of, possums and that. So I these were like glowing red eyes. And it was jet black and it was just outside of where the headlights were. And I just screamed and I was like, "Stop!" And he just stops and he's like looks at me. He's like, "What's the matter with you?" And I'm like, "Look." And by the time he looked, it started to stand up. Like I don't think it stood completely up. And then it just went one step and it was off the other side of the levee and it was just in a flash. And it all happened so fast. And then down here in Florida, when you drive out on a levee, you have to go miles to find it till you get to an area where you can kind of turn the car around. Oh no. I'm like, you're not going any further and you're going to reverse all the way back. Like, back it up, buddy. Back it up. So, that was really my first sighting. That was my first sighting. And then that kind of just propelled me even get into it even more because I kept thinking, because what in Florida looks like that? And I kept, I'm like, okay, well, it wasn't a panther. It was way too big for that. It wasn't a bear. We don't have bears out there. It wasn't. We were used to going in this area all the time to fish, to camp, to do just hang out. I mean, and the guys that we hung out with and the people we hung out with, I mean, these people were always, catching gators and I mean, just, all kinds of adventures we did. And I knew a lot of the animals and I was like, there's no such thing that could be that big and red. And it was the eyes were glowing. It was not eye shine. It wasn't from the lights. They were red. I don't know how it's crazy when I think about it. And then that
Now,
was
sorry to interrupt, but even with all of your interest in the subject and everything, had you considered, even in the back of your mind, maybe possibly what you had
in
were
the
up
back.
against?
Yeah. I mean, in the back of my mind, after I kind of ran through what it could have been, I was only left with one explanation in my mind that it was a Sasquatch. Or skunk ape. Because in Florida, that's what they're called, right? Skunk apes, right?
Right.
To me, they're a people. The Sasquatch people. That's my point of view, and that's that's how I see them as a people.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, I didn't until last year, until we actually started diving into the rabbit holes. I
Okay.
never ever thought of them being a people, you know. flesh and blood. It's got to be ape-like and have ape-like characteristics, and an animal, not as close to humans as I now believe.
A wild, not even a wild person, I don't think, being just something extra, something
Yeah.
Right.
with an edge to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely just the fact that they look so similar to us, the faces, just. So what do you think about people who are having like alternative, we'll call it, experiences with these things, where they could have, call it mind speak, whatever, words or thoughts in their heads, or seeing them differently? What do you think
I
those experiences are about?
I think they're real. I think there's that mind speak, telepathy, whatever you want to call it. Even if you're not hearing an absolute audible voice in your head, which I do believe there are people who do hear audible voices, I definitely feel like they can make you feel a certain way. For instance, we were every time we go out, there's always been an opportunity for us to kind of push a little deeper into an area. And almost every instance, we get to a point where Matt and I both look at each other and go, whoa, hold on. We're pushing too deep. We need to back up. Or we're not wanted here. Like, I've had that impression. I've felt that. When we were in Colt Creek, especially, there was an interaction that took place. After it was over, I didn't leave everybody, but I did kind of go off on my own in a different direction. I kind of went to the left, and everybody was kind of to my right. And as I walked up and I saw this huge cypress tree, I mean, huge, and it had been placed, and I'm gonna tell you, there's no way that it could have fallen the way it fell, because it literally was down like this in between 4 other trees, like a tree and then a tree and then like it was wedged in between 4 other trees. And because I was like, that is incredible. This is so amazing. And I'm looking at it, and it was like all of a sudden I got the chills. I got a little nauseous, and it was like I felt as if there was something that just like a wall was like just pushing me backwards. And I'm like, whoa. And I looked up, and it was like I just got the overwhelming sense, don't come past that. That's the line. Don't cross the line. And I got chills thinking about it. Like, so I don't necessarily think it has to be an actual like audible like word. I do think that they can communicate with us in that way and give us impressions and give us maybe, feelings about things.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that, where people have said, I was about to take a step, and then something in me went, don't do it, just back off. So, yeah, I mean, is that our instinct coming into where people are actually starting to listen to their instinct, and follow it rather than ignore it and just carry on? But we're obviously picking up on something, aren't we? That they're giving off, or that we're sensing. I don't know. Like I said before the show, it's the biggest living mystery. We talked about it. There's like the pyramids and all these amazing things, 7 wonders of the world. But this is a living mystery, and
absolutely,
why is no one wanting to solve? Why aren't there more people wanting to solve this? I mean, I don't get it. It's not just
It's like
us.
the greatest treasure hunt available almost.
Really,
I
it is.
know.
Yeah.
I
So,
know. I know. Well, like I told you ladies earlier, like I feel like it's kind of difficult to try to study something that's absolutely self-aware. Because if somebody's looking in my window, well, I'll probably call 911 first, but I'm closing my curtains. You know what I mean? I'm not, my existence isn't to have someone else constantly being observing me. I mean, how intrusive would that be for someone to be? So I just kind of look at it from that perspective a little bit, like, if it was me, I wouldn't want somebody hanging out and watching how I eat and how I sleep and because they're, like I said, I look at it as they are a people to me. They're not dumb apes running around in the woods looking for their next meal. I don't, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
look at them like that.
there's something to them. I refer to them often as a clan.
Mhm.
They seem to have like these characteristics of family orientation and things like that, but yet there's all these other aspects that
Mhm.
make such an intriguing puzzle.
It does.
Anthony might have the answer for you. Is it the Capture of Bigfoot movie?
Anthony, I don't know.
Does that
I
ring any
honestly,
bells?
Oh, that
uh,
was on it.
I'm not sure.
Huh.
No.
Is that a snow machine? Yes, it is.
It
Yes.
is,
I'm gonna have to watch that movie.
you,
No, it's
and that
tied
would be
back
the
in.
one thing that jumps out to Jackie, right?
I know. I'm just like, wait a minute.
Not the guy hanging, upside down by his legs.
Exactly.
It's not the snow machine. Yeah, priorities.
You know, my brain.
No, yeah, it's just so frustrating, isn't it? Like I said, that we don't have these answers. That well, we're guessing all the time, but
Yeah.
as I said earlier, maybe we have come across the answer. We just haven't got the way to verify
Mhm.
it. And we were talking a lot before we came on, weren't we?
We
And
were.
I was talking about how we often hear of people who say that things are wiped off their cameras, or stuff's
Mhm.
interfered with, or they've had people coming round and telling them not to, you know, say anything, or taking the YouTube channels down.
Yeah.
Why do people think someone's close to the answer? Why is this happening? How can nobody's listening to us anyway? So, but
Per-
obviously, some buttons are being pressed.
mhm.
I mean, I
My
don't know what to
motto
say,
is follow the
but
money. You follow the money.
yeah.
Pretty
Oh,
much anything that the government is trying to control, usually it's about, in my opinion, it's either about the money or about controlling something, whether that's us that they want to control, whether it's,
Narrative or
yeah, the narrative, whatever. But for me, follow the money.
mm,
And wherever that leads to me, I just can't think of any other reason. It's it makes no sense to keep it from everyone when there are people out there that need to know. I mean, I came across an area in a very populated area that had sign. And I mean very populated. And why wouldn't you want people to know? Why wouldn't you safeguard people? I mean, this area that I found, the sign in, people frequent that area constantly walking, have their kids, they take their dogs. It's a very, very densely populated area. And I mean, missing 411. I mean, all these people that disappear, like it doesn't
I
make
mean,
sense to me unless
no,
there's something to do with money in my mind. Like,
It's intriguing because we have areas like where there's bear, like Katmai National Park. You can go there and watch the bears. Now, granted, they're feeding on salmon, so they're very, well fed.
mhm,
But there's plenty other areas, Talkeetna, all over Alaska, all over Canada, all over the United States that have dangerous predators. There's, look in Yellowstone, you've got bison. I mean, they're everywhere. There's all sorts. They've got cougars, you've got all these other predators. And when you know about them, at least you kind of can prepare for what's out there, and so it can't, that's what I find intriguing is why aren't they telling us? They let us go into all these areas with all these other predators, and it's not because it's too dangerous, So what is it? There's something to it.
it just doesn't make any sense.
No, none.
No,
I mean,
no
I think,
rhyme or reason.
I think
Right.
if these were killing people, they would
Mhm.
they would do something about it. I mean, when there's a rogue bear out or whatever is out there, they go and take
Yeah.
care of it, don't they? They
Yep.
don't put people at risk.
Right.
Right.
So maybe
I
Sasquatch
mean,
isn't a threat. Maybe it's not harming people. So
Maybe
that's
it's
one
not
thing
the
on their
missing.
side. Okay, we don't, it doesn't do anything as long as, people don't interfere with it. I mean, I don't know. It's disturbing that they'll admit to not knowing what the things are in the sky that are going around, the UFOs or whatever,
yeah.
they're aware of them, but they don't know what. But they won't admit to something that's on our planet, actually walking on the planet, not
Yes.
flying around the sky. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't necessarily think the 411 is connected.
It,
All of it can't be connected to
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
I
And,
don't think so.
I
Yeah.
know it's kind of like, it's disturbing, but you can imagine people having a heart attack seeing a Bigfoot. Some people
Hmm.
having a heart attack and dying on the spot. And maybe,
Hmm.
there's been an incident of that. I mean, I'm not sure, but I don't know.
I
But
don't
some of
know.
those
It just
411, why is Bigfoot folding clothes up? Don't think Bigfoot folds clothes up. They found a pile of clothes, didn't they? I
yeah.
don't think Bigfoot
No.
knows how to fold. Maybe
No.
it does. I don't know.
Yeah.
It,
I don't know.
We're just
I
having
mean,
to make it up.
I
Sorry.
yeah. No, it's fine. For me though, I feel I have not had a terrifying encounter. I have not. I have not had a sighting that was scary to me. Now, it doesn't mean I won't maybe someday have one that might terrify me, but as of yet, I haven't. I did have a sighting a few weeks ago. Um, we were on a trail and on we were walking down the center of the trail. I happened to look over about 10 or 15 feet off the trail. I noticed there was this huge hole, this like big depression. It was probably 2 feet deep. I even have a picture of Matt standing in the middle of it. And it was probably 20 feet in diameter. It was huge. And you could tell something was either has been laying there, standing there, just, I mean, either sleeping there. I don't know. We are looking at it, we're documenting it. And my daughter-in-law was she was still standing in the trail and she had her camera, she's a photographer. And all of a sudden, a huge stick got thrown at us, like in our direction from the other side of the trail. And I'm like, we all looked at each other like, did you hear that? What was that? And then she's like, points to the ground. She's like, that stick right there. So we came out onto the trail and it was like as if something was saying, cut it out. Like, don't be over there. get away from there, like to draw our attention away from what we were looking at, it seemed like. And I came around, Matt and I came out of there back to the trail, and I looked straight in front of me, and it was probably about not that far, probably 50 feet away. And all I saw was this. He kind of went up, and then we locked eyes, and he went just straight down, and gone. Now I'm taking pictures. I wasn't I don't know why I didn't video, but I didn't. But I started taking photos. My daughter-in-law was taking photos just in that general direction. Didn't see it again. And it was just this, and it was literally just here up. But what I saw was human. It looked human. It did not look like an ape. It just looked human. Now, I don't know if it was a young one. It also didn't seem to be very, very large. I'd say maybe 7.5 feet. And he was, I'm saying a he as if I know it's a he, but I don't know. I just got the impression it was a he. Yeah. And the skin was gray, but the color of its hair was like an amber color, like this auburn, like an auburn color. And it was quick, but it was kind of like it's burnt into my brain, even though it happened so fast. And after we get home, I'm going through my photos, and I just because I just stood there in the same spot, just taking photo after photo after photo. I have a selfie stick, and it's like has a gimbal on it. And so I had it all raised all the way up, and I'm just have it over my head, and I'm just clicking away, taking pictures, tons of pictures. I get home, I take a look, and what I saw in my photos is not what I actually saw in real life. Like what I physically saw is not what I found in my photo. And what I found in my photo looks it was black, kind of gray, black, and it's got a snout. Oh. And it kind of, in a way, looks like a dog man.
Oh, wow.
But it was just the strangest thing, because when I saw it, I said to Matt, I'm like, that's not what I saw. That is not what I saw. Clear. Wow. To me, it's clear as day that it's there, because I've got like 5 pictures where there was nothing. There it is. There it is. Nothing. Nothing. Wow. So I don't know. But what I saw looked human from here up. It appeared human to me.
This is the thing about this subject, isn't it? It's just so hard to translate what we're looking at, or what people are looking at, right. From what it is to what we think it is, or what we think we're seeing. And there's been a lot of these where, actually pretty sure it was Livewire was seeing something with his eyes, but wasn't seeing it on the camera. There's something, he was looking at something and went to look at his camera to see it, and it wasn't there. When he went back out, he can see it with his eyes, but it's not coming onto the camera. So there's something going on, isn't there? There's lots of this interference going on.
Now we knew that they were in that area, because we had previously gone to that area, and it has, my goodness, I think there's 5 trails that you can take there. But the first time we went there, we took the less traveled, the longest. It takes you all the way around, and you come around where there's like a lot of sawgrass. One side there's it's very, very, very thick, and the other side kind of like takes you along this. It just looks like a grassy plain out there, but it's sawgrass. You don't want to go out there and because it'll tear you up. So, and we were on that trail, and that's where Matt got one of the best tracks that he's ever gotten, and that it was perfectly, it was a perfect print. It was amazing. And we're both kind of we're all looking at each other like, what is out here? I mean, and it was a lot of water at that time. It was a lot of water. We were kind of wading into some water that was, a foot or more, or at least a foot deep in some areas. Who the heck is out there in sawgrass, barefoot?
Right.
There's nobody in Florida out there. Nobody goes around on hiking trails in sawgrass barefoot. It doesn't happen. Just not going to happen. So we
Jackie had a
knew.
similar. Sorry, I was just saying, Jackie, you had the same thing, didn't you? You're seeing these
Yep.
prints in snow.
Yep. 26 below. There's no way, and you can tell when something makes a fresh print in the snow, the way that when it moves the snow and these little piles, they're just little duff. It's like snow duff kind of builds up, and you can tell it's fresh. So you're like, no, this.
Yeah.
It's
like,
it's unnatural, and it's when you're out somewhere and you're looking at the terrain, and the terrain does not match a barefoot print. Like, who would be out there doing that? Now, along those same lines, like, granted that we had in Alaska these barefooters, and it was a whole like a religious sect of people that never wore shoes, but they were in Homer. They weren't out,
right
in these random remote trails
in the middle of nowhere. Just, I know. That's what's so crazy.
And in weather that isn't forgiving. That's key. 26 below, and it was maintaining that for a while. That was,
Yeah, nobody's out in that barefoot.
No, and no one's out there making these kind of prints for jokes or, and crossing that amount of terrain. So it really begs you to question what is going on. Like, what are they all about? They're all over the place. And Daniela, you get to see the most, with your drawings on Tuesday, how the variety.
Yes. Yeah, I catch that show all the time, and no two look alike for sure.
No, but like us.
Exactly.
Just everyone that's kind of the same, but different.
Yep.
It's really surprising. Well, it's not really. By now I'm used to the fact that there's so many different looking ones, from colour of hair to size to features. To, some strange looking ones as well. It just fascinates me. Guys, I'm going to put a link again to NONNABOSS's channel.
Thank
go
you,
over
Daniela.
and show some support, because I think you're going to really enjoy the interviews that she's going to be doing with people. Like I say, your first one was great.
Thank you.
The place that you come from, I really like that. The way you think as well, because we need more level-headed people, and logical people to think about this subject, and trying to break it down instead of adding too much to it. Because the more we add, the more we're losing sight of what this thing is, I think. So kind of stripping it back as much as we can. Matt just mentioned here about the image, the photo. Why have I picture from that day caught a brown head popping out the bushes where she'd seen it.
Yes, yes. My daughter-in-law, when I saw when I got the photos that I took, is when I saw the one that looks like the dog man. When she started going through her photos, because she was actually on a different kind of taking pictures in a different spot, kind of to the right of me, that's when I said, that's what I saw. She actually, the one that I saw, she got him. But again, all you can see kind of like a side profile of him, and you can see it's kind of like he has something still in front of his face, and you can just see like the side profile and right here. So, and it was brown. It was the brown. It was the amber or the auburn color that I saw. I'm like, that's what I saw. So, yeah.
There's a lot of accounts.
Sometimes I have to be careful of like what I share, because sometimes so much of what we do together, he's putting in a film, so I have to. I have to.
All the exclusives are here first.
Yeah,
before
exactly.
it even comes out.
Well, the trailer to his film is actually going to premiere on May 14th on his channel, so it's
cool.
It's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well, we might get to talk to him about that when that comes out. After it's come out, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike Adventures. Thank you.
That's awesome, Mike.
Yeah. So what's your plan on your channel? Are you having a regular night? Are you got a bunch of guests already lined up to come on?
I've got a few coming up, and what I also wanted to do with my channel, in addition to having people come on and talking about all of these different things that are on the continuum, right? Because they all somehow connect: the paranormal, Sasquatch, the dog man, all of these things seem to have some kind of a connection, right? We don't know what the connection is, but there's some kind of connection in one way or another. And but another thing that I wanted to do with my channel is talk about those subject matters and bring awareness to all of them. But I also felt very, very compelled to kind of have a topic of the week every week, and kind of have deeper conversations. Like on my show last night, we had a deep conversation about PTSD and how it relates to all of the people that have had sightings and encounters, whether they're good or bad encounters or negative or positive encounters. Everyone's paradigm shifts. And when your paradigm shifts in that manner, I also feel like we kind of go through the stages of grief, and we start, we're kind of grieving for our innocence. We're no longer innocent. We're knowers. We're these people who kind of know something we're not supposed to know, or we know something is real that a lot of other people don't know are real. And I just felt it was super important to have a conversation, a deep conversation, talk about the signs, the symptoms, how you can get help. It's a really high rate of suicide amongst people who have PTSD.
You make a good point that it is like a grief when your paradigm shifts, and you realize something wasn't what it was, or you've been deceived a long time maybe, or you feel like that. I've spoke to people that have changed their view of religion because of what's happened, but it's a real life-changing thing when you put it like that, when you say people are grieving, because it is a loss, isn't it, of something.
It really is.
And then trying to find the truth is almost a battle for some people. It can become an obsession or kind of addicted to it, and it's not healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many people that just don't know what to do with the information. If someone is out there, and I talked about this on my channel last night, if someone is out there, they have an encounter, like I said, even if it's not a negative encounter, they have an encounter, they're not expecting it. And that same person is expected to go back out into those woods to feed their family. Who does that person go to? Who does that person talk to? They're not going to be able to go into the church and say, hey, pastor, I got to talk to you about something. They're just like, there's so many of us that are just stuck in that situation where they have no one to talk to. And for PTSD survivors, talk therapy is the number one treatment for PTSD. So how do you get people to talk? How do you get people to talk about something that they don't even know where to go to talk to anybody?
Right.
Which is why it was so important
to do that. Yeah. To talk about that. I think you're frozen up a little bit.
Is there a connection problem?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're here. Have you lost connection? We're still here.
I can hear you guys. It's just.
Can you hear us now?
Keeps lagging. I don't know what.
Oh.
Can you hear us okay now? Oh.
Hopefully that will get cleared up. But yeah, she touched on a very primal conversation too. You know, like there are the people that do have these terrifying encounters. Like look at Carrie's encounter. Like he's now just going back out into the woods, you know. And there's some people that will never step back out there. And who can they tell that reason to? You know, it does.
Definitely. I'm back. Excellent. Yeah, we were just touching on what you were saying about, you know, where'd you go to? I mean, I'm only like a tiny dot on this subject, but that's why I started the Encounter Hub, which was is a private space for people to go to, because coming on here on YouTube and people, it's nerve-wracking for a lot of people, and they don't want to. They might be in jobs or, you know, just not necessarily that people might see them, but they don't want to take a risk, you know. And I've just found that people are much more relaxed and you get much more detail. And unfortunately, I've not managed to do it for the last couple of weeks or so. But, you know, I have a regular lady who comes on who really gets a lot out of it just to be able to talk. Just to talk. That's it. It's so simple. Just have someone to listen and other people there to go, yeah, I know about that. So, you know, I do encourage all channel owners who are into this, if you can, put an hour aside or 2 hours aside. I know it's a lot to ask when you're busy, but those 2 hours to spend with some people who just have nowhere to go will just, you won't understand what it'll do for those people, but it'll do a lot. It will really mean a lot to them. And that's all it takes is a little time out to listen, and you could really make a difference to how people are coping with what they're going through, or maybe, you know, they might want to come out and talk more, might be more public. Just having the confidence to do it, you know, it takes a lot, like I say, to come out here and share your experiences, especially when they're quite, you know, some of the weirder ones. It's all happening, but it's really hard to talk about it. So
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't even like to talk about their real life, like, you know, our everyday issues and problems and things like that. I mean, bring up Sasquatch to somebody and they're like, what are you talking about? What? But it was important to me to make sure it was laid on my heart 100% to, and I knew that it was a really deep conversation for, you know, to my first show to kind of like dive into that. But I've been dying to talk about it for so long because, I mean, I've been watching Bigfoot Odyssey for so long, and you know, Sasquatch Sasquatch Chronicles, and all these other. And my heart breaks for these people that have nowhere to go and have nobody to talk to. And so yeah, when you started the Encounter Hub, I was like, That's amazing. That's amazing. It's a forum that people can go and get the talk therapy, get some talk therapy, you know, and just talk about things, you know.
Somewhere safe
Yeah.
that they're not going to be ridiculed.
Yeah.
Exactly. Safe environment.
And the more you talk, the easier it gets to do it. When you're with the right people, it just becomes
Yes.
normal.
Yes.
And I know that's a weird word to use, but you know, when we first, for me, my perspective, when I first started doing this, you know, it's quite a sensitive subject, and everyone's laughing, and you know, but then the more we got into it, the more conversations we were having, the more, you know, guests we were having on, it just started to become normal. Like, this is normal here. We can
Mm-hmm.
talk about anything. No one's laughing anymore. This is really built up to, you know, a community of people that are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing these things, and you know, become stronger for it. I
Yeah.
think, you know, this subject, I feel now, is really becoming a lot more solid, and then there's more stuff going on out there in the field. Mark and Kerry, you know, the other guys that are doing it. I can't think, but I
Mm-hmm.
know Robert Crider's got something going on. Um, Things are happening, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, I
I
mean, I don't
agree.
know how far we're going to get with it. Let me just do a shout out to Jamie. Yes, he's in tonight. Gary's in tonight, and we need to sort that out, because I was going to write to Gary in I think New Year, and it's like May now. Just flown, hasn't it?
Time is just
But
I
disappearing.
know.
yeah, but Gary, yeah, I'll be in touch. Yeah, it's just, yeah, if you're doing something like that, that's great. If you're creating a space for people, even just talking about topics on a show,
Yeah.
these topics will draw people in. They need it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted my channel to not just be about the interviews. I wanted it to be healing and thought provoking. And, you know, another thing that it is, and Lee and I talked about it last night, is I hate to see how fragmented the community is. And I just, you know, I hope my channel builds bridges, and that people don't need to feel like, you know, that, I don't know. I just feel like we just all need to get along, and I want to build bridges, and, you know, not just with other creators that do content on Sasquatch, but Dogman and aliens and, you know, paranormal and all of that. You know, I want to build bridges across all of these communities, because I really feel like, again, all of them are connected somehow, some way,
Yeah.
and we can all help each other get to the truth and be, you know, and a lot faster if we're helping each other and we're united and we have that common goal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one
Well,
thing that I
yeah,
talk a lot about. We all want the same answer. So why
Yes.
can't we all just come together
Yes.
and work towards that same goal? We all want the same goal. We all have answers that we are seeking, whatever they may be, you know, but we do have that same goal that we want to achieve.
At the end of the day, that's what our focus needs to be on.
Absolutely.
Not on personalities and things
Right.
like that. Just,
mm,
we have a mission. Let's get to it, guys. Let's get to it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, in a perfect world, that will be happening, but
Come on.
um, in a kind of way, though, you know, you got to think that there's a bit of competition going on, and maybe that's a good thing in terms of who's trying to get out there and
Hmm.
really trying to find this thing. I think, you know, there's always going to be uh, a division of some sort, or there's always going to be fallouts. But I think everybody is going in the same direction. Whether
Yes.
we're not always getting along and doing it, we can't
There's a
all.
lot of very strong personalities in
Yeah,
this arena,
there is.
right?
There is. And there's a lot of, you know, also ulterior motives for some people.
That's true.
You touched on something there that you know, happened to me, like a light bulb, not a light bulb moment, but a moment where I thought, this really isn't. We've got to really stop exploiting people and these encounters, because at the end of the day, I know everyone wants to hear about the encounter, but there's somebody left at the end of that who's experienced it, and nobody's been interested in that. And that was another thing that why I wanted to do the Encounter Hub, was like, you're playing with people's emotions. And for people to call this a show, it's called a show. All the YouTube videos are called shows, but really, they're not that. They're like therapy sessions for me, because people are really hurt by these experiences. It's really, really seriously. Not everybody gets that, but it's life-changing for some people. And you can't just take the story, and then not do anything after that. It's just not fair, and so people have to care as well.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of channels that definitely, it's entertainment purposes only. I think that there are some channels that are that way. And, at what cost, right? At what cost? And if you ladies don't mind, one of the things that I last night on my show, because we talking about the PTSD, forgive me, I got to find it in my notes. I just kind of want to get this out there. If anybody out there, anybody is feeling suicidal and they have PTSD, or it's just too much for them and they don't know what to do and they don't know who to turn to, the National Suicide Hotline, it's 1-800-273-8255. If you need to talk to somebody and you can't get a hold of any of us or any of our channels, or you can't, and you know that you feel yourself in danger, call that hotline. Please call that hotline. It's super important that you pay attention to how you're feeling. And if you're feeling hopeless, there's somebody who will listen. Call that number.
Yeah. I mean, this is close to your heart. And I mean, Matt came on the show and he opened up about where he was at with it. And like, maybe Bigfoot saved his life that day when he heard that call. And so, I get how important it is, for people to reach out and never feel like they're on their own, because there's always an answer. There's always a solution. And it starts with reaching out to someone
100%.
And just sharing your problem, because honestly, so anything can be solved. Everything can be solved if you just go and sit with someone and work it out. There are people out there that want to help. So it's great you put a shout out for that, and maybe just doing that today has helped someone. I
hope so.
Pick up the phone and ring.
If it can help one person, that's all that matters to me. If it's just one, that's okay. It's one.
Yeah,
it's one.
It's a start, isn't it? And
it is.
So guys, let me just put a link up again to NONNABOSS's channel. Go and show some support.
Thank you.
She's only just started. You've not got 100 subs yet. Getting there, almost there. But these great channels grow organically. They don't just pop up with hundreds and hundreds of subs. You put in good quality content, you're gonna get the good organic subscribers coming, and that's what you want. And I really
100%.
feel like it's gonna happen to you, and that you're really giving something to the community. I've just got a feeling about you.
Thanks.
I really want you to be successful with it.
Thank you.
And have another place for people to go to. And just put the link up again in the chat, so people go over, show a little bit of support, please. Go and check out the interview with Lee from the Ravens Outpost. I love Lee; he's great. Guys, we've come to the end of the hour. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah, definitely.
Anytime.
We'll definitely have you back on again.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's in the chat. I mean, I kind of feel naked in a way, because I'm usually over there. I'm the one that's usually over there. I'm like, okay. But thanks, everybody. I love all of you so much. You guys have just helped me so much. And I'm going to start crying.
Don't, or I will too.
Let's go before we start blubbering.
Yeah.
So there should be a drawing Bigfoot tomorrow night. I'll put
Awesome.
Monday, Tuesday. Get with
Awesome.
it. Tuesday we should have a drawing Bigfoot. I'll put a thing up, a post up if it is. If not, definitely Wednesday. We've got Randy Harrington coming on for a researcher's report, and then there'll be the late show. I'm not sure. I think Mark and Kerry will be getting together and talking about their expedition and what they got up to and everything,
I
which will
hope
be
so.
interesting. And if anyone's really bored, come on over to Hidden Existence in 15 minutes. Me and Jason will be going live at 1:15, whatever the hour is, the next hour for you guys, wherever you are in America, what state and time zone. It's in 15 minutes, basically. It'll be 1:15 midnight for me and different times for everyone. So,
Thank you.
guys, thanks for showing up tonight. Hopefully, see you again in about 15 minutes. If not, we'll see you in the week. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Jackie.
Good night. Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day.
Bye.